We're back, Fred and I. We're going to be making some marks. And look what somebody dropped off at my house today. Some free paper. So let's start. First thing we need to do is warm up our hand with some lines. Now we're going to be doing lines like this today. So this gets us started. If you've got a marker and maybe you want to use nice paper, just make some lines like that. Now that's an easy start, is it not? Let's take another color, and now we're going to try and follow that other mark, leaving it. I'll just see if that's still on the camera. Yep. Leaving a almost like a parallel. We're going to try and make parallel lines. That one goes right off the page. So it's just to train your hand and your eye. Doesn't matter what it's going to turn out like. I can't see where I'm going here. Oh, there we go. I'm going to just switch colors. And you know, sometimes when we just make marks, we end up with doodles, and that's even more fun. I'll do another one. You'll see why later when we're doing our shapes for the day, why this is helpful. Let's make a couple more just to make it more interesting. And this time I'll use a gray crayon or a marker. Let's see, I can't see for my hand here. See, having a big sheet of paper, where is this line going? Oh, I already did that one. Well, here's one. Having a big sheet of paper gets the larger muscles moving and helps your hand be free. You do a few pages like this, and you've got an interesting phone book. Or you can tear out your paper, or you can turn it into a doodle and color it all in, and it's free. Today we are going to be doing tubes, or what's technically called a cylinder, which is a tube. There are many things that are around us that are made with tubes. Jars, crayons, markers, gummy worms. So let's start. If you remember, I'll try and get this square to the camera. Now, if you remember, we found that squares couldn't be boxes until we gave them depth by drawing another square behind and connecting our corners. The same thing occurs, well, let's give it some shading, because we saw that was how we give it, another way to give it depth is by shading. Then we did circles, and we found that we couldn't they weren't round, they were just circles. Ooh, that's none of those are good. There we go. They stay a circle until we give them volume or depth. Now they become three-dimensional. So what do we do with a tube? If I draw this tube straight on, I have a rectangle. Same problem I had when I did the square. Is there a way to make this 3D? Easy. I'll take the mystery out of it. As with other drawing tricks, you just need to know the trick. So if we draw a circle And instead of making it around, draw another circle behind, erase our construction lines. That wasn't a very easy one to see, so we'll do it again. We'll draw another one in behind, just like we did with the square. Now we'll erase our construction line and connect our outer edges, and now we have a tube, sorry. And actually, if I put that construction line back in and I shade, I put some shading in, and if I want to make it a pink tube, that isn't going to go over there very well. But you get the point. Sorry, I just got to get that charcoal off. We have a tube by overlapping. Remember, we did overlapping with the square to make it a box, and now we are doing overlapping with a circle to make it a tube. We have the same situation we had last time. The end of the tube is a circle, but when we tip it away from us, it becomes an ellipse. And that's why I said we need to practice our ellipses. So a tube is basically, and there, just move my paper along. One ellipse with two parallel lines and an other edge of the ellipse. These will be usually parallel. Another way to make it look 3D, you'll see I have drawn some wraparound lines on here, and this being a paper towel tube out of a paper towel holder, that's what it would look like. That's not the same as ordinary wraparounds like we were doing before. So candy canes are tubes, and I brought the usual piece of plasticine, and I'm going to make, you can do this with Play-Doh. I like plasticine because it holds its shape better. Now I have a tube. Let's just get my knife here, cut the ends off nice and flat. Okay, good tube. What I want to do first, before I do anything with this tube, is like I did with the circle before when we were drawing the circle, do some wraparound lines, some belts around it. You will see why in a minute. You can use even a pencil point for this. I don't, because then when I go to try and write with my pencil, it doesn't work very well. Now, if I were to draw this, it would be rather uninteresting. If I bend it, now you can see my wraparound lines, except some of them are kind of stretched out. That will give you clues when you go to draw it. Now I could draw it right now, but I did it already on the paper, and you see I've got shading. I can't talk and draw like this very well at the same time, but I use shading on the tube itself, and my wraparound lines help to indicate the direction the tube is bending. So you can do this and set it up. If you use, there you can see the light coming from here. It shows you where the shading, where to put the shading in, and it looks three-dimensional. You don't need to write the wrapper, draw the wraparound lines if you don't want to, but see how many, if you just twist it, you can see it from all different angles and it gets very interesting. That's why when we were doing this exercise, it's a really good practice to be able to draw parallel lines when we're doing tubes. And wraparound lines make things look rounder, just like they did with the circle. And of course there's always shading you can use. Now, here's something. You see it's got a cylinder in it. You can see the cylinder in it. Here, when we're using, where did it go? When we're using the plasticine, we are drawing the tubular shape. When we draw this, we're drawing the empty hole. So let's just do that. If I can make sure I'm on the camera here. We draw one end of our cylinder. Here's the other. I should do this with a pencil actually, or that little piece of charcoal. So here's the other end of that tube, but there is a bolt around it. Now we're drawing back to drawing our square. We could have started with the square box. And shade that. We started with our tube and wrapped the bolt around it. If you didn't practice your tubes and you drew your bolt, you would maybe, well, it's an easy way to start learning. It wouldn't be hard for you to do that anyway, but I did start with the cylinder first, just to show you that it's built around a cylinder. Looking at how things are built is called a study, and that a sketch is just something that's quick and it's not meant to be accurate. But a study is examining how that thing is made, and that helps us to draw. That's why we use our eyes and our hands. We don't say, oh, I know what a bolt looks like, and then you start trying to draw all the threads or something. No, examine what shapes are used to build that thing. Man-made objects are usually structurally, they're architectural in nature, so you can kind of take them apart with your eyes and then draw. You know, there's another thing I can do. I can make my snake or my worm, and I can put my bolt around it. I'll just use some white out so you can see what I'm doing there. Maybe I should have used the marker. I have to take out my parts you shouldn't be able to see. So when you start doodling and doing shapes, let's do it straight. You can alter your doodles by drawing first one thing and then building into something else. We'll put some shadow here. Whoops, I forgot I had white out there. Okay, so that is a cylinder, and we can keep it really simple by just making snakes and drawing them in all different shapes. Or we can make it complicated, just in case you're thinking, oh, that's too easy. You can make like pickup sticks with your crayons or markers and draw them in different directions. That gives you very good practice. Making your tubes or your cylinders at different angles. And you can turn a simple doodle into something complicated. When you're done, you can color in all your crayons the right color. So, till next time, keep making marks.